he mentioned an emotional connection to Wayne, and if you were here or watched the Honeybee this past Saturday, it was the first time in my career that I had gotten choked up after a post-race interview. And I've had a lot of post-race interviews. And watching that horse come into the stretch, referring to Secret Oath, you kind of know when a horse is really, really good. And just seeing Wayne in the winner's circle, and he saw me get choked up, and he kind of acknowledged it. But just the special connection that I have developed with Wayne and with Lori over the last couple of years, that was a very special moment, and I'm very appreciative of that. My lone summer at Saratoga, I was having dinner at Winslow's, and Wayne Lukas was across the room having dinner with a beautiful woman who turned out to be his wife, Lori, and another gentleman. Now, everyone in the restaurant was staring at their table, and of course, why wouldn't they? Now, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, informs me that he's eating dinner with the Bill Parcells. Well, I didn't know who he was. I said, what, is he a big owner? I didn't know. But even Paul, who is not a massive football fan, knew who he was. I asked if he coached or even played for the Hogs at one point, because Razorback football, being an Archie, is the only football that I know. He informs me that he only won 2 Super Bowls and is in the Football Hall of Fame. But the bigger deal to me was that he was dining with the D.Wayne Lukas. Bill Parcells, yeah, that same guy from dinner, would years later write the foreword for Wayne's book, Sermon on the Mount, the wisdom and life experiences of Hall of Fame trainer D.Wayne Lukas. Bill writes, Wayne is really admirable because he's up on that horse every morning to this day. That's who he is, and he knows it. Now fast forward to 2022, and despite now using a cane to just assist getting him from place to place, he is still up on that horse every morning. That is exactly who he is. Wayne still has the enthusiasm for the game that he did all the way back in the 1960s when he was training short necks, that's what I call quarter horses. After developing dozens of quarter horse champions, he would go on to take the thoroughbred industry by storm and campaign 26 world champions, including 3 that were Horse of the Year. 15 of those champions have been fillies. Now, Wayne, we all know that you have had a way with the ladies. I'm just throwing that out there. Wayne is also the only man in history to be inducted to both the Thoroughbred Horse Racing Hall of Fame in 1999 and then the American Quarter Horse Hall of Fame in 2007. But there is always, always one more win and one more championship. But who would have thought at the youthful age of 86, he'll have that one more opportunity with a filly by the name of Secret Oath. He trained her dam, absent-minded, and she's by the first crop of now deceased champion Arrogate. If that story doesn't write itself, I don't know what does. She's the hottest name in the 3-year-old filly division right now. And in true Lukas fashion, he could easily pull off an Althea and win the Arkansas Derby, or score the Kentucky Derby a la Winning Colors. The sky is the limit, especially when your name is Wayne Lukas. Now, Wayne, I've always called E.F. Hutton because when he talks, I cling to every word. And if this is the first time that you have had the honor of listening and hearing him speak, I encourage you to sit and get tied on because you are in for a treat. One of the quotes in his book reads, "In horse racing, the good is never as good as the bad is bad. Never give up." And what he's battled in just the last few years between COVID and constant back issues, it really does show you the type of man that he really, really is. Another quote in his book really, really sticks to me. Faith is not about everything turning out okay. Faith is about being okay no matter how things turn out. Now, if you're a stat person, let's talk stats because he has got them. Wayne is the 9th all-time leading trainer by wins and the 5th all-time leading money-earning trainer. He has won 14 Triple Crown races with 11 different horses. That's up until this year. We're going to see if that changes. 4 Eclipse Awards as top trainer, and the National HBPA awarded him as Man of the Year in 2002. Excellent choice, by the way. In 2013, he received the Eclipse Award of Merit for his accomplishments. And oh yeah, let's not forget that the Kentucky Derby Museum, which I consider racing's Smithsonian, dedicated a wing to the museum honoring him in 2017. A wing, not a hall, an entire wing. I have had several honors and privileges in my horse racing career. Here I go. Of almost 3 decades. Certainly, one of those has been sitting down several times to interview him during my Saturday morning program for race fans. But one of those is being able to introduce your keynote presenter certainly ranks up there. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend and Hall of Fame trainer himself, please welcome my friend, Mr. D.Wayne Lukas. You get me every time.
That's a special gal there. Every time she introduces me, though, I think I should raise my rates. What a treat for me to be with you today, looking out over the audience, horsemen that I know, horsemen I'd like to know, all this talent in the room, and we're all got one purpose, and that is, of course, to promote the sport and do the best we can. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Eric. My wife and I were in Louisville, and Eric made all arrangements for us to be here, the transportation arrangements. You know, it's amazing how much more of the country you see when you come by bus. I went by his office, and he was so proud. He had just finished doing a jigsaw puzzle. And he looked at it and he said, "Wayne, look at this. I completed this in 2 months." And it says right on the box, 2 to 4 years. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. I was supposed to do this. I got the desk clerk out there gave me a note I was supposed to read. Is Rick Hiles here? Rick? It says here that the girl in room 264 has found your Superman pajamas, and she'll send them to you in Kentucky. I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce my wife, who is the best horseman in our family here. My lovely wife. Oh, she moved on me. I always worry when she's got the car keys and she leaves. I always thought if I have one more divorce, I'll think it's me. But I asked her the other day, I said, Lori, in your wildest dream, did you ever think that you would get married to a man that won 4 Kentucky Derbies? She looked at me and said, Wayne, you're not in my wildest dreams. I'll tell you what, though, guys, tell your wife you love her every day or somebody else will. I know that. We're here today, gathering here, trying to fix some of the problems, take racing to another level. And there's one key thing that you have to, above everything else, I think this is the key above everything else. When that bettor steps up to the window, choosing your horse, and makes a bet, regardless of the size of it, he instantly becomes your financial partner. He has invested in you just like he would invest in Ford Motor Company or IBM or any of the others. He has now, for about 15 minutes, become your financial partner. He expects you to give him a fair shake. He expects you to have done a good job with the horse that you have that he's selected. He assumes that it's a level playing field. He assumes that everything is in his best interest. For 15 minutes, he is going to be your financial partner. Now, we, all of us, owners, trainers, track superintendents, whatever, have to make sure that he gets a fair shake or we lose the game. That's the key. We have to make sure that he gets a fair shake and that he knows that he's got everything going for him so that he can bet the next one, the next one, the next one, and come back week after week, month after month. What are we going to do? Edison said that if we did everything we were capable of, we would astound ourselves. Einstein said we're only working at 10%. Think of that. We're only putting in 10% each day. Now, I tell my young guys that I have been 25, 35, 40, but none of them have been 86. So that experience factor is there. I know how they feel, I know how they think, I know maybe where they're going. But none of them been 86. You all, I'm sure, this week are going to have some goals. But remember this, a goal is never any good without a plan. Without a plan, it's only a wish. So it'll be imperative that those goals are solid and that you all follow up on them. Horse racing is like a man on a 10-story building. As he jumps off and passes the 5th floor, he says, so good so far. That's probably where we're at. We've got a problem. We're not really as good now, I think, as we were probably in 70s and 80s and 90s, and a lot of you were around then. Where are we going? Each one of us has a dream. Each one of us has a desire. If you're an owner, trainer, fan, we all have the dream of getting to that promised land with that big horse or that special horse. I had a dream. Let me share this with you. I didn't make this up, but it sounds like it's a some story or something. I grew up in a little community of 6,000 people where they raised potatoes, milk cows, and believe it or not, raised mink. I went to a one-room school where the teacher taught all 4 grades. She called up the 2nd grade, give them their assignment, sent them down, called up the 4th grade, give them their assignment. From the 4th grade to the 8th grade, I was in a class of 2. 2. I graduated 2nd in my class. Charlene Schrader was a little bit more focused. But I was thinking about winning races and riding my horse. So school became secondary. But Mom said, you can't fool with these horses. You got to do something worthwhile with your life. So I got into teaching, and I'm proud to say that I have a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin. All of us have a dream. Many of us in the room, it's our reality. The dream that some of you have out there, I talked to Ron Moquette and Steve Hobby and them, they're dreaming too. My dreams have become my reality. The Derby 4 times and so forth are always secondary now. I want to take my clientele there. I've already had that experience, so what I want to do now is I want to take my clients there and let them experience it. This is the thing that is important to me. As trainers, we only have 4 or 5 things to offer. Number 1 is experience. Number 2 is communication. Number 3, maybe honesty and integrity. Maybe 4, a work ethic. And I'm going to add passion. That's all we have to offer. We, as trainers, have the pulse of the industry, however. Our successes in the training ranks motivate us. Our failures educate us. That's how it goes. I think you have to dream big, and then big things happen. All of us were born a man or a woman, and we had a chance. To be a man or a woman is a choice. You have a choice. I really believe that the experience factor is huge. I asked Ron Moquette the other day about his feeding program, and he said that he feeds those horses over and over and over, and the only place they get fat is in their ankles. Think about that. So, I've been in the Derby 37 or 38 times. I've lost count. But there's no how-to book in our profession. Isn't it strange that football coaches and basketball coaches hold a clinic, and Nick Saban will get up and diagram his entire offense, or how he gets the pass to the tight end over the middle, and share it with every coach in America. Basketball coaches, X's and O's. You can go to a clinic. When I was a basketball coach, I went to every clinic. I heard the great ones. And it was enlightening and educational. As a trainer, we don't share anything. Actually, nobody's even teaching. One of the things that has been successful for us is that we took some young, talented guys under our wing, and we told them why, and taught a little bit, and now they're kicking my ass all over America. So let's take a look at something like the Derby on the experience factor. There's no way you can plug it up and Google it and they'll tell you how to win it. So let's just look at the Kentucky Derby. Since it's spring and it's right around the corner, and the Arkansas Derby is a fixture that helps to get us where we want to go. These are some thoughts from a trainer standpoint that's been there, 86-year-old man, that you might not have thought of. With the point system, it is no longer a one race or a triple crown. Once they introduced the point system, that ended Triple Crown. It now became a 5-race series or a 3-race series to get to the Kentucky Derby. Why? Because you cannot get there with the interest in it in the 20-horse fields. You can't get there without some points. So you have to get into these point races. Now, these point races aren't easy. We ran the Rebel right here in Arkansas the other day. Next week, they're going to run in Santa Anita. They're going to run one in New York, one in Florida. Those races are tough. If you think you don't have to train for them, you'll find out that you don't have any points. They are tough races, so you got to get that horse ready to run in those. And usually, I think in most cases, you have to run in at least 2 of them. If you got a superstar, like Bob Baffert or somebody, you can maybe run in 1 and get to the deal. The other thing is, it's a $50,000 entry fee. It used to be $25,000, and when Tom Meeker said to me, Wayne, we're going to raise it to $50,000, and that'll eliminate the 20-horse field, it didn't even faze them. People want to be in it so badly that they put up the $50,000 readily. Another thing is you can't control the draw. They're going to draw that pill out, and God forbid you get the 1 hole. Statistics shows that if you get the 1 hole, you're really in trouble. The last time somebody won out of the 1 hole, Shoemaker won it on Ferdinand. But you have no control over that. It's 20 horses, and they draw them out and roll them out there, and you take what they give us. The other thing is, these horses, prior to the Derby, have never run a 1.25 miles. Think about that. They have never run in any prep race or any race in their 2-year-old season or the 3-year-old season. They have never run a 1.25 miles. So for the first time, the first Saturday in May, they're going to go in the gate and find out that they got to go an extra 1/8 of a mile. That, my friends, separates a lot of them. They've never run at Churchill, most of them. Some of them are stabled there. But if you take a 20-horse field, you'll find that about 16 or 17 of them are shippers, are coming in and have never run at Churchill. Shipping in and going over to another barn is a tough sell on your horse. Must be missing a card. One of the hiccups is, and this is the big one, that it's a 20-horse field. In my opinion, that is the toughest thing to overcome to win the Kentucky Derby, the 20-horse field. These horses out there in California are running in a prep race to get those points in a 5 or 6 horse field. They'll run it in Florida maybe with 8 or 9. The Arkansas Derby will probably catch 7 or 8. The Wood in New York will catch 6 or 7. And now we draw up 20 head and put them in the gate. That is really something, because it creates traffic problems that these colts have never seen before. Now add 20 riders. Ladies and gentlemen, there are not 20 good ones. You got to scramble if you don't have the favorite to get one that has been there and done that. There's only so many Ortizes and so many Cabreras and so forth out there, and Julian Leperoux and so forth. You will find that there's not 20. So those 20, there's going to be some that are going to run in a 20-horse field at the Kentucky Derby for the first time. And some of them are going to look down like they used to years ago and say, wow, there's Pat Day. Next to him is Jerry Bailey. Next to him is Gary Stevens. Hell, they even forget what they're sitting on. They're so intimidated. They are not many of them that have that experience to go in a 20-horse field and be effective. When they hit that first turn, you watch all the Derby films, when they hit that first turn, there's some decision being made by a lot of them. And the key in a Derby, obviously in a 20-horse field, is have a good trip. Now you take and add 160,000 people. It's amazing how horses pick up on excitement more than anything else. Not all of them handle that. You've got to hope that your horse will walk out there, keep its composure, and not come untrained. A few years ago, 90 and 93, our Derby hopeful ran over my son and gave him a severe head injury where he was in a coma for 42 days. In that time, we decided that we would not penalize him. His name was Tabasco Cat, but instead, we would try to make him the best we could. He was high-strung and tough to handle and very tough to train. Now, the Hollywood ending to that would be if he'd have won the Triple Crown. Damn it, with 160,000 people screaming, most of them drunk, they put him in the gate, and the horse next to him hit the front, and he reacted to it and hit the front too. He ended up running fifth. Now, he comes back and wins the Preakness, comes back and wins the Belmont. So that excitement in that crowd, that roar, is a factor. The other thing is what I'm talking about. I watch these young people, and there's no clinic, as I said, on how to or what to do. And you watch the experience factor come full cycle when you're trying to train for the Kentucky Derby. The next thing is you can't pick the time. All of us as trainers, when there's a stake, they say, oh, maybe we'll skip this one and wait for the next one, or our horse isn't quite ready. I'd like to get one more work in him. With the Kentucky Derby at 6:20 on the first Saturday in May, it doesn't matter what you think. You better lead him over there, and he better be ready. You don't have the option or the luxury of picking a spot or the time. You are locked in his 3-year-old year, 1.25 miles at that time, and you have no choice but to stick him in the gate. I mentioned passion. If we're training for different clients, I think you got to have passion. You see, with passion, you eliminate all of the excuses. People that have passion for their work, for the trainers, for raising a foal, any endeavor, any type of endeavor, have to have that passion because it eliminates all of the excuses. You don't mind going without a meal. You don't mind driving 8 or 10 hours. You don't mind staying up late. You don't mind sitting through an airport to get someplace. You have to have the passion so you can eliminate all the excuses. Now, if you're taking vitamins, let me tell you something. You can take a bottle of vitamins, but you better take one of enthusiasm in there, or you can waste your time with the rest of them. Take one of those. Keep the enthusiasm. We have a saying in our barn that we develop EE&I, and energy, enthusiasm, and intensity. Every once in a while, when we're not doing real good, we say, turn up the EE&I. Never be satisfied. We are never satisfied. I'm 86, and as Nancy pointed out, I got a shot again. Damn it, how about that? I got a good filly and I got a colt that might make it. I'm never satisfied. If I get there or get in it, win the Oaks, whatever, I'll wake up the next day and say, what about the Preakness? And I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not afraid to put that filly in with the colts. If I think she's the best, I'll lead her over there. I'm not afraid to lose. I won a lot of races running where I don't belong. I've made a living running where I don't belong. Over the years, through the 80s and 90s, they said, that goofy quarter horse trainer, he'll run them anywhere. And next thing you know, wham, we get that one, then we get this one, then we get that one. But we've made a living running where we don't belong. Now, there's always setbacks. You know, we're always trying to get the best horse. We're trying to get a line of communication with the top owners, with the people that have the money that can maybe help us get the right yearlings, if we could go through that selection process. But the biggest thing is that you have to communicate in today's arena with that owner. Now, the internet's the worst thing that ever happened to us as trainers. Man, there's experts out there over and over. And believe it or not, the owners are reading all that stuff and listening to it. I had a guy the other day call me up, one of my clients. We ran second in a race. And he said, Wayne, I just got the gait analysis. I said, what? He said, I got the gait analysis here in front of me. Do you realize that our colt was striding 8 inches shorter the last quarter of a mile? I said, really? He said, yeah, 8 inches on every stride. I said, well, hell, I think some of it was tired. But they get into that, and then the gurus tell you whether you belong or not. That's the biggest one. So I think that your communication with your owner has to be one-on-one, and they better believe in you. And you have to have some honesty and integrity. I think the circus that developed after the Kentucky Derby with media Stewart should have lasted 3 days. The ruling they made the other day, they could have made 3 days out. They knew what they had to do. The rule book was clear. The fine was maybe excessive, but if it was going to be excessive in a 90-day suspension, they should have put it out there. Why drag it through the media for 8 months? That didn't do us any good. We kept winning people over and over and over on the other side of the coin. They said, well, these guys are cheating. The Derby winner was hopped. We dragged it out for 8 months. The commission should have immediately ruled, and then if the principals want to fight it, let them fight it. But don't drag it out 8 months. I got an idea. Why don't we, in order to clean up the sport a little bit, have the owners interview the trainers like they would a bank teller or anybody else? Why not sit down with your trainer and interview him and get comfortable that he's going to be honest, he's not going to put you in any spot, that he's going to do it according to the rules, he's going to be fair? Hell, I can tell you some of these guys that are in trouble, if they were interviewed by most of us in the room, they wouldn't have got the opportunity to get us in trouble. That owner should interview that and pick a guy that he knows is going to do him an honest job and not get him in trouble. Now, if he does get in trouble, I'm talking about the owner and the trainer, I think we should sanction the owners. I think that we should put sanctions on them. Maybe they can't run in a grade 1 for a year. Maybe they have to not run at a particular track for a year, whatever. But I think an owner has to feel like he is getting the best and that he's not going to get in trouble. I can't believe I've trained for Bill Young of Overbrook Farm, one of the great men in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I can't believe that I would ever put him in a position where he would even have to address something like that. I mean, that would be out of the question when I think about it. He never interviewed me very much, but I sure felt comfortable and did everything I could not to get him in trouble. If that owner is going to be sanctioned, you're going to shut him down. He's got more than one horse, you're going to shut him down with 8 or 10 horses. I think that he'd be very careful who he hires to train. What do we do to get over the bad part? Nancy, you said something about the good is never as good as the bad is bad. It's our attitude. The key to being the same and to get the most out of your production is your attitude. Make that choice early in the morning and make the right choice. You have to have some feeling that you are doing the right thing every day. I got a grandson. He's actually graduated from the Air Force Academy in Colorado. He's an officer now. He's in mission. He's in charge of Air Force One, the mission control of Air Force One. We're pretty proud of him. When he was 9 or 10 or 11 years old, he always said, "Granddad, come and watch me play." He was in a little league like so many boys. He said, "Come on, watch, Daddy, come on, Granddad, come and watch me play." Well, we were training horses, and at 4 o'clock was their games, and that's when the races were running. So I said, I'll come, I'll try to come, and I let him down, and I didn't. Then one day I said, "I'm going to watch you play, Brady, no matter what." So he said, "It's a big game." I said, "Great, I'll be there." So I hustled around, and like usual, I was a little bit late. The game was already in progress, so I banged on the screen on back to the dugout and said, "Brady, Brady, I'm here." So he come around and said, "Oh, great, Granddad, thank you. That's great." And I looked out and I said, "Brady, is that the score? 6-0? He said, "Oh, Granddad, don't worry about that. We haven't batted yet." Now you know why he's an officer in the Air Force looking after Air Force One. We got to make a difference. We got to take every opportunity to introduce racing. Do you tell the waitress? Do you tell the cleaning lady how great it is? Do you sit down on an airport with somebody or on a plane and say, "Boy, you ought to try it. Have you ever been to the Derby?" Every one of us should be recruiting new people every day, whether they're 6 years old or 96. We got to reach out and tell them about what we got going. We got something really good going. But we are got to reach out and do something about it. The NTRA didn't help us. I thought they would have a great television contract. I gave them $50,000 when they first chartered, and we haven't got any television. We don't have, television is the key. The great Hall of Famer John Nehru told me way back when. He said, television is absolutely the key to getting exposure and get new clientele. People ask me what's the best moment when we win. How do we feel when we win? Well, obviously we're elated. We were all over the place the other day when Secret Oaths romped home by 7 lengths. We were all excited. But you know the honesty, about it all is I feel better when I'm able to take a small child to the winner's circle. I pick out I have Lori, my wife, I'd say, Lori, we just want to go find somebody. She goes through the crowd. There'll be somebody along there with an 8 or 9-year-old, and she'll grab that one and tell the parents, come on, we're going to go to the winner's circle, enjoy this, and don't worry, we'll bring him back. And you cannot believe the response and how excited those kids get. They're just shaking when they're standing in front of me, trembling. They are that excited. The kicker is, I've got letter after letter after letter where they have written me and say, I'm 25 years old now. I just graduated from Arkansas, University of Arkansas. I'm going to law school. And I have the picture when you took me to the winner's circle when I was 8 years old, and it's on my wall. Letters of that type, all the time. Now, what the hell is wrong with my colleagues? Why isn't every one of them doing that? Some of them are, but geez, it's so easy. The picture isn't that expensive. Grab a kid, take him down there, stand him up, tell him to pet the horse. If I win the Kentucky Derby this year, you can look up, there'll be a small kid I never saw before standing right next to me. Every one of us should do that. It is really, really, really special to those kids. And they'll write you a letter later. They'll say, you remember me? Do you remember me? I say, no, I don't remember you. Well, I'm 27 now, and you took me to the winner's circle when I was 8. That's a really satisfying thing. The horses come and go. Those feelings stay forever. Each one of us has to try to make a difference. Will you make a difference today? Will you make one? Will you recruit somebody today? Will you make a difference? I like to think that my special time is the quiet time. When after the big race and the text messages are all read, the pounding on the back, the hugs, the congratulations, the elation of doing it is over, and the trophy is on the mantle, and it's quiet, and I'm there alone, and I can remove the championship ring and put it on the dresser and look in the mirror and say, did I make a difference today? I won a race, but did I make a difference today? Make a difference this week, people. Thanks for coming. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.